Hi everyone, can you hear me okay? All right, so I'm Eric Moore. I'm a member of the Expert Series team here at the Virtual World Education Consortium. So glad to have you all here today. And this is the Virtual World Education Consortium Metaverse Expert Series. We're glad to see you all joining us here. And we do have the website, which is the VWECconsortium.org. If you're interested in going there and having a look, I'll go ahead and share that link out as well. And we also have a social media channel that you can go to and see what's going on. And want to make sure I give you that link as well as we just introduce the series itself. Make sure that you're getting to a position where you can hear. You can always move your camera in to hear a little more closely or to zoom in on something you see going on the screen. We are going to be using a couple of different media today, so just please feel free to do that. And really glad to have, let's see, sorry, let me just make sure I take care of all the business today. This will be streamed, so if you want to see the closed captioning on the streams, then please look at our live stream. I'll just put that there in the text as well, and that'll get some points out, but really just happy to introduce our speaker today. So our speaker, Ameth here, sitting next to me, also Casey Guillory, is an artist, and I had a wonderful time visiting her gallery here in the virtual world, and that was an amazing experience. And so I'll add that link also to the chat so that you can have a look a second when you have time. Let's see, let me make sure I get it into the chat here. I may not be able to put it into the open chat like it is here, but I'll go ahead and add that link in a little bit. After the talk begins, you'll see it appear in there. But let me not postpone anything and introduce Ameth, who's here today presenting. She's got a couple of amazing experiences for us to watch, and also a great talk about how art has been changing in the real world and virtual worlds, and how those things are mixing and meshing, and just look forward to the discussion. Ameth, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Or I assume, well, if you could hear Mehdi, you could very likely hear me. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get going. Welcome to my talk about immersivism. Immersivism, what is that? It sounds really cool though, and it looks pretty cool from the picture, but we're going to be talking about the potential of a virtual art movement. And because you're educators, I've also, don't worry, done some homework to show how this can work in a classroom. So without further ado, hi, it's me. I'm Kay Guillory. You gonna call me Kay or KG? Doesn't matter. You can call me Ameth. I don't care. I'm a writer and illustrator. I've been a professional artist since 2010. I write articles for UploadVR, so I am an immersive journalist as well. Please support UploadVR.com. It's a place where you can get VR news for like games and things that are happening in the industry. So not only do I do art, but also I keep in touch with like current events and trends, and I write about that from a critical perspective. So what kind of art do you make, you ask? I make a lot. Here, let me show you. Here's some of the stuff that I've done in the past. This picture with all these canvases up, these are from Second Life. Actually, like the pictures that I took pictures of paintings I took pictures of, and then I put them in Second Life. So these are all physical paintings that I then made virtual. And I started out with my first store just having all these crazy paintings up on the wall. The very first person to believe in me was Melanie Melanie was somebody that she ran like a sim next to Juicy Bomb. I don't know if anybody knows Juicy Bomb. Those are my friends. They pretty much raised me in this game, and they were the first people to really support me. So I love them a lot. And that illustration up top there, that is from comic books because I'm a comic book illustrator as well. So I have shown work at Red Bull House of Art, Con Artist Collective in New York, Satellite Show at Miami Basel. Satellite shows pretty might be pretty relevant to this movement again because they were really down with my internet art back then, and they were interested in immersivism, but they wanted to see where it goes. I've also got an award for participating in a core anthology called Wayward Sisters. So I've done a couple things and I've gotten some awards. But, you know, it's very interesting. I had this really cool art career going. Why did I kind of pivot? Why did I stop? Well, it's because I noticed a few things happening around me. So before we get into that, I need to explain where I come from. And this is going to be extremely pertinent to immersive education. This was my life in Detroit. These are the pictures that I took when I was in Detroit. I did not live in the suburbs. I lived actually in Detroit, off the streets. That's where I lived. It was wonderful, but at times it was incredibly bleak. The pictures that I'm showing you, the bus stop picture downtown Detroit, it was kind of safe there. The picture of the person walking in the park, that is not a safe area. That is an area where people sell drugs. It is also an area where you could get shot and killed. This area is extremely dangerous. Also, it could be just plain scary. I had an apartment that was right there. Like, I walked out and I saw that view. This park right here, remember it? People, I would walk home sometimes and I would see just strewn clothes and no people. And the clothes would change. There are times when I knew a guy, like I knew a guy that lived in the same building as me. He had a nice jacket. He was really happy. Somebody broke into his apartment and pistol whipped him and took his jacket, and he stopped smiling. So you really can't have anything in Detroit. Almost. Detroiters relied on art to create new worlds and bring people together. So they had nothing, but the art there is just really good. I really don't know what I could tell you. Like, it's just, the living in Detroit can be extremely difficult, but the art that came out of it is tremendous. And there is still nothing like Detroit's art community that I have seen yet. The city's art is just, you know, people there, they taught me to make everything out of nothing, which again is incredibly important to what we're talking about today. So while I was getting this art education, this outsider art education in Detroit, being a poor person, too poor to even go to an art school, I started to consume media like this, Ghost in the Shell Innocence, Dot Hack Sign. These things came out like 20 years ago. Early 2000s, stuff like that. It came out in the aughts. So you can find this stuff on streaming now very easily. Some Detroit painters were also imagining alternate timelines where citizens would find themselves in wilder conditions. The paintings that point to this theme aren't many in number, but here's mine, exploring my home neighborhood. So even as we had nothing, we were still painting these paintings of just imagining anything you could. That was what I was raised with. So one thing that my instructors kept on telling me, I got like a community college education, by the way, as I'm running along here. It's like, where are you getting this education from? Community college. I was not good enough to get into actual like art school, so I couldn't go there. They said, don't paint computer screens and still lifes. I asked why. They said just not to do it and that it looks awful. And I just didn't really understand that because look at this sketch that I did. I really wanted to paint this. And it made me sad to think that the art world would not accept the still life with a computer screen at its center. They just said, don't do it. I never really got why. So here's my actual, as I began painting, you can see my painting up here. You know, I'm doing really good stuff. I'm a very young artist at this point, and I'm starting to, you know, just mess around with like the local galleries and things like that. Later on in college, I was trained to do blind contour drawing very well. I somehow got into Wayne State. There was still some money left on my like Perkins loan or something. Blind contour drawing is when you look at a subject and draw them on canvas without ever looking at the picture again. This is going to be extremely important. It requires you to stare at your subject until you're finished drawing them and trust your eyes with what you see. And that is going to be key, again, to what we're talking about later. So by the time I received the opportunity to show my paintings at Red Bull House of Art in Detroit, I was using Second Life and playing around with virtual photography. But nobody would really accept what I was doing, and I couldn't tell anybody. It was silly. Here I was becoming an adult, and it wasn't okay to talk about video games as anything other than entertainment. No one wanted to talk about their private life gaming online. At the same time, Sword Art Online was getting attention, and all of my friends loved it. The advancement of society, I'll tell you this right now, you don't have to watch anime to know this, but when popular subjects begin to broach the anime line, and you start to see anime make stories out of it, that's when you need to pay attention to that thing. There is now more and more anime talking about virtual worlds. That's the sort of temperature you can take with general society. Like, what are they talking about in Asia? And what are young people in America talking about? That's how you know. It's through anime. Anime and webtoons will tell you. So while I quietly explored Second Life's art community, I never really got to talk about it, but here's Patrick Moya, here's Biv Hansen, here is Club Cringe, which is in Second Life. They still have, I think they still have a party series, I don't know, but that Dorian Electric came to Second Life and nobody even knew who they were. It was hilarious. I just thought, oh my God, are you kidding me? It was great. But we need to go back just a little bit further, okay? This isn't the first time that Second Life is not the first place where virtual art has come up. We also had a 90s consumer wave in the 1990s with VR. Here's Nicole Stenger, one of the early pioneers. Here also, you might notice Bryn O is an early pioneer as well, has worked with Second Life and VR. Each decade, a new immersive platform brings new achievements in design. So as we keep going on and this technology keeps developing, the artists get better at making worlds, and the art criticism and the art knowledge gets better and better. So by the time I was joining group shows in New York, I'm still doing these shows in the physical world, doing art shows in New York and wondering what was next to me. It turns out the answer was right in front of my face. This is a painting I did for a friend for fun. I had a spare canvas and I wanted to give my friend a gift. We were both making art in Second Life Art Camp. We were taking apart in a camp there. And where the assignment was to think of something new to pursue, there was a group of us. We were called the Wanderlust Group. And I think that they're still kind of around today. Here's another painting you might recognize from Bryn O. She is an accomplished virtual, sculptural, and traditional artist who's been making art in Second Life since the 2000s. When I showed her my painting to ask her what she thought, she then showed me this one. She said, I've been painting avatars too. And that's when a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, if two artists are doing the same thing, eventually many more would too. Not to mention the increasing amount of media that I've been seeing that took place in virtual worlds. And the casual way my friends, my age and younger, were accepting them, because I'm getting older now. I'm getting in my 30s now, and I'm thinking to myself, if everyone my age and younger is accepting this, that means that one day this is going to permeate the fine art world. First, it permeates popular media, underground media, popular media, then it gets into the art gallery. That's how it works. To me, it pointed to a movement. I decided my next project would be to research how far I could take the concept of painting virtual worlds. So in order to do that, I saw VR opening up. I saw communities opening up in VR chat. And so I went there to research further. Researching this through blind effort, here are a bunch of paintings I created in Second Life. And these are all in different platforms. Second Life, this top one in the center is half and half. The one of an elf woman, I was actually looking in the mirror and painting my avatar that was looking back at me. It was really trippy. The one on the far right over here, you can take a look at it. Just for a second, actually, I'm very interested to see what you think is the shock of this painting here. The two that are sitting with the pitchfork that looks kind of like American Gothic. What would tell you that this is a video game? Can anybody guess? When you look at it, just take free answers in the audience. Looks familiar. It does look familiar. But there's something about it. There's something about it that's not right. Look at it really good. Look at that picture of the two people sitting underneath the tree. What is off about the picture that will tell you it is not taking place in physical space? And I'm just going to give you like a couple more seconds. Anybody guess? The answer is, if you look in the back, there's a line bisecting the sky. And if you look even closer, you'll realize that's not a sky. That's a skybox. I'm in a skybox. I built a farm inside of a box in Second Life, and I put that thing in the sky, and I said, I love it here. It makes me so happy. This painting hangs in my office, and it is one of the happiest times of my life. Was when I was just in a little box in the sky, and I just had my little farm with my stupid little breedable goats that were so spammy with scripts. It was so much fun. That's what immersivism is about. It's about this happiness that you feel. It's about the things that you see and experience. That is something that I feel has value. It has value. So eventually I realized that blind contour drawing could help me illustrate what I saw in VR. We're not going to show this video yet. We're going to wait. Using a blind contour skill on a virtual subject brings weight and truth to what someone paints. So I try giving it a shot. I'm going to go back to the slide real quick. You see this tree? You see those trees that are kind of painted very kind of stipplishly? I painted that with blind contour. I had a headset on my face. I was looking at the trees, and I painted them without looking at my canvas. And I will show you how that works. That is why I brought video today. You must see it for yourself. Okay. The Quest headset was also improving with its pass-through ability. Now, we've got different headsets that are coming out that have, like the Picos coming from China. If you don't want to take part in augmented reality because of the companies that are producing these headsets right now, don't worry. You can learn blind contour with any VR headset. So you could buy a headset from any company you want. And you can learn this. You can also learn this on flat screen. And I'll be telling you more about that later. Quest headset line was also improving with its pass-through ability. Virtual desktop let people turn the right builds into augmented reality by using chroma key. So I built a digital studio. And then I invited a friend, Regent Storm, over for portrait sitting. We recorded the footage of the process. Okay, Medi, toss up that media on a prim. It's video time.
Okay, sounds good. Yep, I'm going to put it right behind us here and then lift it in front of the screen.
I can't wait for
You'll
y'all
see
to see
just a
this.
wooden box at first, but then you should see the media on a prim. And if it doesn't start right away, then you can click on it to click on the video image to get it running. I think it just runs automatic.
Guillory. I am recording this documentation of an experiment I did where I wanted to paint people and Hi, I'm Kay Guillory. I am recording this documentation of an experiment I did where I wanted to paint people and places in virtual reality. This is something that I've noticed people already doing in video games, so I decided that I wanted to expand on it and see how far I could take it. I converted my studio to a 3D scan, stripped it down, put it inside VR, and when I flip the button, you can see this 3D scan of the room, replacing the digital over the physical. When I turn it off, I have a green screen, and for me on my Quest pass-through, I can see my studio perfectly. So then all I need is a model. So this is Region Storm. Region volunteered to help out with this, and which I'm super thankful for. They're a VTuber and a musician, and they DJ. So this is what happens when you overlay a keyed out green screen background over your studio. So Region didn't have the 3D scan. They bravely dealt with the green screen. Thank you so much for doing that. But you can just see how immersive this is. Even though they stand out for their avatar, it's not quite the same reality as physical reality. I just thought it was really fascinating. And doing this painting sitting is very exciting for me. So Region listened to my request and was very kind. We did 2 portraits for this session. Here's us kind of like moving around with weight and setting up, grabbing a canvas, and just kind of like trying to figure out how this is going to go with the headset on my face, and painting with pass-through to, oh, you can see like the imperfect overlay there, which doesn't really matter because it gets the job done. So I pre-painted the canvas with yellow, set everything up, and now I'm just going to paint a portrait of Region, and then I'm going to do a sketch after that. And Region was just so cool, just stood there, was so natural, and I think that just comes with the, perk of being a performer is, when you got to turn it on, you can turn it on, and I think Region is somebody that does that very well. I also think it's really cool that we have streamers, out there in full like VR doing the whole show. I know people that like sing and dance and act on their channels, and I just think that's real dedication to the bit, like full acting is pretty amazing. So I painted this portrait, partially blind contour this time. And then after that, we're going to follow up with a Sumi brush sketch. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I told Region what I wanted to try just on top of it, and they were down. So it came out like the brush was like really big and it was kind of messy, but I actually really dug it because these portraits, they're blind contour, and so they're going to be really messy anyway. So that was actually a lot of fun, and I decided that I would just keep a record of everyone that I drew doing a sketch in that way. And that's us talking about the process after, which was really cool. I love that moment. And we also took a picture together, which was amazing. And I just thought that was so cool. Thank you, Region. You were awesome. You were an awesome first model for this project. Super excited. Thank you so much. And I'll leave their socials in the video too. It should pop up right now. I just wonder what people...
Okay. Yeah, so that happened, and when it happened, it felt quite unreal. Like, I think we sat and talked about it, and I think that we definitely felt the energy, like how it's like, oh, how did the portrait sitting go? It felt unreal. It felt like, we were part of a future that had not fully taken shape yet. And I feel an incredibly we could actually redo this. We could stage this whole thing at MoMA. We could. Yeah. Funnily enough, when I show this to galleries, a lot of them are quite afraid. They don't want to talk about it. I don't know why. So probably one of the biggest reasons is Meta itself. They don't want to mess on it, with this stuff, and I understand that. Thankfully, I'm really happy for other companies that are trying to step up and get in the augmented reality space, because we really should have this technology, but we shouldn't have it where it's just one company that's got it. I really don't like that at all. Okay, so moving on. While experimenting with paintings, I was also enjoying virtual photography and studying digital culture, and I wrote my findings at a site called The Metaculture, focusing on the trajectory of VR's music community. Later on, I shared my findings on the same website. The VR music community that crystallized during the COVID lockdown, especially its rave scene around 2020, went through changes I felt were important to note, predicting how virtual creative communities might grow in the future. Taking care of these communities ensures that its people are able to thrive. So you're asking, what does a rave scene have to do with art research? It's actually quite important. Because when you see a creative community pop up in a platform, you want to watch to see how they develop, how they socialize, how they, create art and show art, how people engage with that art, but also how the creative community is impacted by the platform's administrative decisions. Because the platform's administrative decisions can make or break that creative community. I have seen missteps that a platform has taken, and they actually cause infighting with DJs on a certain platform. They eventually did learn their lesson that centralizing power causes toxic behavior to happen. You're going to have all these people fighting for your space. You don't want that. Decentralization is the way to go. You must democratize and you must decentralize. That is the conclusion that I reached. So by the time I stumbled across the Strange Pair Art Gallery in VR chat, I had been calling this research art movement Gritism, which was named after Tron, and was piecing together what it stood for. Virtual life and its people, ideas, and places. It felt like the impressionism of a new world. The fine art that fell under Gritism could even be virtual worlds themselves. Because if you notice also, Rain Dance Immersive has awards for virtual worlds that people build. They hold them every year. Venice Immersive also has awards for what people are doing in immersive worlds. They have that every year. These award establishments, they understand the importance of art, immersive art being a part of that conversation of fine art. So it's inevitable that it's going to go even further than that. So this is a talk that I had with them. Wait a minute, backtrack a little bit. Yeah, the Strange Pair Gallery was founded in 2022 by Oz Pearsall. The community felt so much like Detroit, I knew I had to give a talk there. And after explaining my idea to Oz about what I was researching, it was set in stone. We wanted to have a meeting to talk about the things that I had researched, and I showed them everything. So we had this talk, and I convinced them, and I said, hey, did you know that you're all painting virtual worlds? You're painting avatars, you're painting each other. Did you know that this is a movement? And they didn't realize it. And then I convinced them over this talk. And I showed them Bruno's work, and I showed them history. I said, hey, we're part of history. We need to name ourselves. The talk covered a brief history of virtual art and pointed how virtual art was an underground movement that existed for at least 3 decades, if not more. However, no one ever gave it a name despite it existing for so long. I urged the artists to vote on a name after a public poll was released. They actually did vote for Immersivism. Immersivism was the winner. Legit. I still have the results for that. And then I wanted to tell Bryn, because she started my journey of research. I had a conversation with her, and then we just were like, whoa, this is a movement. It's got to be. And then we were like, yeah, cool. Then we just walked away from the conversation, and that stayed on my mind, and that set me on a new path. But I had to go back and tell her again, because you can't do something like this and then not go back to the person that you first talked to and say, hey, look at all this stuff. Check this out, So including her in the vote was a must. I was also excited that I had finally managed to make something happen after all these years. So when I contacted Bryn, she actually had a surprise for me. Oh, wait. Was it this one? No. Wait. Hold on. There it is. I can count. All right. It was this. Bryn had held a talk 4 years ago. She had it at York University. In it, she had this video that said, see, it's called the Immersivist. It is literally called that. Virtual art may be written about in history books one day, and this may be the first stumbling steps to new movement in art, not unlike the Cubists, Surrealists, Minimalists, Impressionists, and so on. Perhaps a movement may begin where the artists are called the Immersivist. She predicted it. And then I put out a vote. and they all voted for the name. The name happened. I swear to God, it came together. Okay, and I've got video of Oz Pearsall, because this is why I democratized it. Because I didn't know. I was just calling it Gritism. I had no idea. Then everybody was cool with the name. So I recorded that meeting, and we passed out some names, and then we all voted on it. And I saw the results to prove it was an actual vote. Yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, so now that we've got the name, we've got the technique, we've got the history, let's dissect this a little bit more. What is immersivism? Immersivism is an art movement concerned with people, places, and ideas about virtual worlds. Immersive art can be paintings, sculptures, photography, or virtual worlds themselves. Check this painting out. This is a painting by Kikta. Kikta is going to be quite important to the early immersivist conversation about art. Kikta likes to paint traditional HUDs, Quake, Doom paintings, really nostalgic stuff. But this particular painting that Kikta made is a memory of them riding in a car with their friends in Final Fantasy Online. Final Fantasy, I think this is like 14. Yeah, FF14 online. This is the online one. So they painted that memory. This is a perfectly immersivist painting. How does this help VR and immersive worlds? Immediate beneficiaries of this movement will be those who create the art through direct sales. Secondary beneficiaries are those who invest in it, grants, residency programs, education, sort of, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, the shaping of this movement, the early shaping of this movement and its conversations can have a direct impact on the artists who are forging these new conversations. And I will be quite honest with you, in a time like this, I think is great. I think that people making money off of their art and exploring new ideas, my God, yes, we are glimpsing a big change in art. You're exactly right. Adding to the history of art, this can have a huge effect. And I believe this is why when I showed the traditional galleries near me, I showed them that stuff, they got scared and they didn't know what to do. And so they immediately rejected me. I do not believe that it was actually rejection. I believe that they needed time to think about it. I think they needed time to think about it because it was such a big idea that it actually made them afraid. But they'll warm up to it. I mean, when I tell young people about this, and this is how I know this is going to pop off, okay? When I tell a young person about this, they immediately gravitate to me and they say, it's like I've been waiting for this my whole life. Do you know how powerful that is? That is incredibly powerful that young people are immediately taking to immersivism. Some of them don't. Some of them are silly and are like, oh my God, this is a cringe. And I'm like, shut up, you're a jock. You don't even read. Come on, get out of here. Sorry. I don't listen to illiterate people. In order for there to be a residency program and educational, there are some people that do not like being perceived. They will literally get in the blingiest e-boy avatar, chest out, big bushy beard, and looking oiled down, dancing in the club. And then when they want to talk about how the things that they're dancing around and their avatar itself is art, they don't want to think about it. They don't want to think about other people perceiving them. They do not wish to be perceived, which is fine for them. But you can't tell me what not to paint. So that's not even a conversation for me. So if you want to have a curriculum based on immersivist work, there is actually some things that you can extract out of this. There is a lot of potential for, first of all, a lot of immersivists right now are making art for themselves, which is incredibly novel. It's anti-algorithm, which is crazy. It goes crazy. But also, there's some things that you can use out of this to teach people. In order to explore what an immersivist education would look like, let's take a look at a painting where I pieced together different skills I discovered during my time of research. So I want to show you a painting process that I documented. Okay, so we can't show like all the stuff, all the videos, but if you look on immersivism.com, you'll see where, that's okay. You'll see the pictures here. I really liked Dan Prowler's Horse Canyon map in VR chat. It's a giant desert map. You can ride a horse around. It's very fun, but what I noticed about it was the scale of it. And what I thought is, you know, I can't go to the Grand Canyon, but I can learn how to paint these mountains just by using this world as an example. So, as in the first tree painting demo, where I basically walk up to a tree, I look at it, and then I paint the initial layers of the tree with, well, unfortunately, you didn't get to see that. But you paint an initial layer of the painting with like a burnt sienna or raw sienna, and then you go back over it with a burnt umber once you can flip the headset up and down between your painting and what you're looking at in VR in order to correct the lines, and then you can paint from there. So it's taking blind contour and you're taking it into painting. So we're going to use blind contour, and then we're going to use AR prototyping to complete the work. Actually, I wonder if I can do this. Now, this was 4 months ago. I'm just going to link you this. Go ahead and you can click on that, put that into your, there's a video right there. You're using Figment XR. I was using Figment XR to paint some of these, and you'll have to meet the video, and I apologize for that. But you'll see that I'm using augmented reality in the canvas, and I'll just pop this up on here. Using augmented reality on the canvas, and then I am painting it in the painting, and this wasn't even a good capture, but like it just kind of snagged the first video there, unfortunately. But yeah, so you can see where you lay out the layer of augmented reality. This can really revolutionize somebody's workflow. So after defining what immersivism is, I then thought, okay, how's the artist in their studio going to use this? This is how you can extend your studio, not rely on any sort of AI, and still use this modern technology to improve your painting workflow. Using augmented reality, you can use what I call rapid prototyping. You can lay down painting layers. If you look on that video, if you enlarge in that, this last picture, even on this slide, you can see that augmented reality has been laid down on the painting. That's where I was testing colors. Yes, you can remain human in an AI immersive environment. This is actually how I did it. So you can lay down colors using AR, just color match it really, really close to what color you want to lay down. Put it on the canvas, test it out. And then the final version. This is called Wide Open Spaces. It is of, and that's in, no, I didn't put that one in the gallery. I put another one in the gallery for myself. But this is Wide Open Spaces. This is a painting I did inspired by Horse Canyon map in VR chat. It's really great. So that, yeah, so there you go. That we were able to get the video like at least on chat. Okay, so the skills used for this painting, you can identify them, you can create a curriculum out of them. Blind contour painting, rapid AR prototyping, plain air painting, combining this with the tech. You've got a class. You've got a class. This only covers one painting process. Imagine several different projects together with different skills highlighted for one course. You've got money. Here's another painting that I did. Here is augmented reality, kind of like just painting it out, just seeing what I could do, you know, doing some planning there. Same thing. Here's how it turned out beautifully. Portrait of a femme. The painting's a little squished here. But if you look at this, what would make you notice that this is not in a physical, that this doesn't actually take place in a physical world? Can anybody, because I think that's one of the things of art criticism for this is going to, you know, this is going to be the first question. What do you think this painting is telling you? Corners the top right, yeah. What else? Dig deeper. There's something this painting is telling you. Also, there's something that this painting might remind you of another painting, if you can identify that. Like magical realism in literature, yeah. Fire fruit, yeah. Okay, so this fire, I will tell you, it's kind of like the pets that you put on your shoulder in Second Life. It's like the pets. You know, you put the little, yeah, you put the little pets on your shoulder. That's just avatar culture. Yeah, that's just avatar culture. See the sign above her head? That's what we got above our heads right now. It's our nameplate. It's our nameplate. You know what this painting, it is, the message that I put in it is the frames, excuse me, the frames are your computer screen. They are your headset. They are what you perceive the virtual world through. And if we look at these worlds through frames, but as you connect with someone, the frames and all that drop away, and instead you are connecting with a person. That person shines through. She steps through the frame. She is now with you. Yeah. So that's what this, yeah, it is. And this has, you sit and think about this for a bit. It's going to have huge consequences on the actual, like, our physical world. This is gonna bust the doors wide open. Okay, here's some more blind studies, just, you know, some extras. These are some blind contours I did while looking at subjects in virtual reality. Just on my iPad, looked at these folks and drew them, and then added textured backgrounds. So one thing that I try and practice with like a group of artists that, you know, we hang out together and we have like our own little museum group. It's kind of like a gallery thing to encourage the practice of this art, and they do their own experimentations, and we kind of like pool our thoughts together. Is that the messing with different textures. The messing of textures, the physical and digital together. Yeah, this is a digital drawing, but I've added texture to it. Makes you want to touch the painting, makes you really want to look close at it. You know, it gives it that extra dimension, and I feel that that's quite important. So immersive education courses also can cover the art of publication around new subjects. Through the Metaculture, I also ran a community project encouraging others to submit art, essays, and photography to be published. So this is the VR zine. This is on archive.org, I think. It's on Internet Archive. You could just grab it. VR zine oh, here it is. One moment, I'm gonna grab this link for you because I was like, oh yeah, this would be great. Whoops. Oh, here it is. Okay. Here is our VR zine. Remember, it's an experimental kind of free form. It's for young adults and it's for adults and, you know. And we just kind of explored what publishing immersivists thought, you know, on poetry and prose, what that might look like. So that was the result. It was a great effort. It was fantastic. Okay, so then I also did comics. Clout is a short horror story about a virtual streamer balancing the demand for greater success with her personal life. It is based on the old fairy tale of the fisherman and the golden carp. Clout served as a return to comics for me, as well as experimenting with taking on stories that take place in immersive spaces. The research needed to make these stories believable is utterly necessary in order to deliver a sufficient punch. So hanging out with VTubers, talking to VTubers, and, you know, seeing what their lives are like really served as really good content, you know, really good feed in for this. Here are some things that, here's a juxtaposition also, putting in the jarring of here's being an immersive world. These two sequences in the comic, they come right after one another. So, oh, I'm echoing on somebody's mic. Who's that? Oh, Billy, can you turn your mic off? Thank you. Okay. Oh, no, they're not. Oh, dear. 1 second. Where'd the Billy person go? Oh, there they are. Okay, down. All right. So this right here, they say, all right, love you, babe. They're parting ways. And then she immediately wakes up, takes her headset off. All that frippery, all the bubbles, particles, and everything are gone. And now she is back in her physical world again. That jarring moment, that is actually something like when VR users read that, they said, yeah, this is exactly how it feels. You log out and then boom, you're back in the physical world again, and it feels nothing like where you were before. Publication projects don't have to remain in the realm of fiction. Nonfiction publication can also see success with virtual residencies, encouraging writers to explore standards of quality stories to help develop their craft. This is an article that I wrote for UploadVR called The Next Generation of VR Developers Are Social VR Users. And diving into these worlds, when I get an assignment as a journalist and I'm diving into these worlds, it does feel a lot like the movie Paprika, where you put on the DC Mini. If you've ever seen that movie, I would highly recommend watching it. You put on the little DC Mini thing, and then you go to sleep, and then boom, you're in a virtual world, and you're a little pixie with wings on your back. And then you wake up, and it kind of felt like it was a dream. Sometimes when I log out of VR, and I'm writing about things and I'm documenting things, it feels like I dreamt it. But I've got video because I've recorded what I've seen and what I've done, to be like, yeah, this actually happened. So it's kind of crazy. Immersivist museums and Second Life and VR chat are almost complete. Ateliers included. So this is what we're building right now. The LM that you're going to get today is for the one on the bottom right. That's the Second Life location. We are building a museum of immersivism. And the one on the left is the one that's going to be in VR chat. It more closely reflects our website. And then we have more space there, so we're just doing some crazy stuff. But it's really nice working with different architecture on different platforms to, speak different design languages, and we're still delivering the same message. It's very fun. One of the things that we're including with this is a workshop in both spaces. What we'll be doing is holding classes to teach people for free how to draw like what I've showed you in these videos. If you're interested, you should join, where is it? Do I copy the SL URL, I guess? Yeah, that's the Museum of Immersivism. You could join that group. We'll be announcing when our drawing classes start. They're free. It's an atelier. You show up. There's a focus on, drawing subjects, and, we'll get you there, and then we'll just see how far this can go. I'll be teaching people in VR, so you can either have a spatial education with this, with a headset on, or if you want to do this in Second Life, yeah. Or if you want to do this in Second Life, should be announcing it like next month, because we're almost towards the end of the month. So probably in April is when we'll begin having classes. And we'll just do this on some weekends, probably on a Sunday. And we will convene and we'll just teach people how to do this stuff. And you'll be able to draw subjects in Second Life just like if you're in VR. It's just VR, you'll be a little more spatial with it. Okay, so before I go, I'm also going to show you that this extensive photography, here we've got some textual stuff going on with photography here. With VR, it feels like a lot of photography, virtual photography work is about the blurring of memories. It's very interesting. So, here are some thoughts. Healthy spaces where artists thrive will not contain too much pressure on profit, nor so little that there is no opportunity to grow professionally if desired. Consider platforms with live building capabilities like Second Life for hosting creative jams and residencies around immersivist work. When we keep the lines of knowledge flowing, each generation of virtual art improves. Whatever art you make, also print it out if it isn't physical already. Trust me, because these platforms disappear. And then you move on to the next platform, and all you've got are pictures and inventory you can't take out because it was all digital. Print out whatever photos and memories you want and keep a scrapbook. There is no difference between a physical and virtual memory. A memory is a memory. It happened to you. So keep a record of it. When you can't find your way through a project or something is stopping you from achieving what you want, remember, nothing stops a dream. I started with nothing. I was born in nothing. I struggled for so long on the street in Detroit, and yet this crazy idea has now reached you and is now reaching people who are looking at this from universities and thinking, I wonder what we can do with this. I still made this somehow happen because of the focus. After a while, like, honestly, there was some luck that got me here, clearly, because you don't just get born in utter poverty like that and then just end up where I am. You have to get lucky, and so at some point somebody helps you. But a lot of this was focus, extreme focus, and that's what got me here. So if you'd like to learn more about Immersivism, just visit immersivism.com. And thank you so much for having me here. I hope that you enjoyed your time. For each generation, anything available, and particularly any new technology or material, can become a paintbrush or a canvas to express the perception and vision of an artist. And here we are. Yeah, exactly, tagline. Thank you so much. You've done me an honor to invite me here. I am so overjoyed to share all this with you. And I hope that this has given you some interesting things to think about. And if you know anyone who practices immersivist work and wants to sign up as an artist, we've just got like a web ring going with like a full artist list. So if you know anyone who practices this work and wants to be listed as an artist with us on our website, just have them sign up. We have like a sign up form on our Immersivist site, and we are decentralized, meaning we don't, like, Bryn and I are immersivists, but that doesn't mean that we're in each other's faces. We're not an art collective. This is a movement. We have art collectives that are listed under the Immersivist site, but we don't get in there. We don't talk to them or tell them what to do, because that's not what this is about. The internet is for everyone. We're not here to tell people what to do. You do your own thing. You take your ideas and you improve on it. I hope the next immersivist out there that makes a splash with this genre, really does some crazy stuff. So I'm super excited for that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. That was amazing. I think so many great things to see, and also wonderful reflection of the community. Like we were talking the other day, I think it's the art community that you're focused on, but I think you really represent a lot of people who are not artists, who are immersed in virtual spaces, in different cultures, and really getting those kinds of things out there. Yes, a round of applause. Really great work. And so thank you so much for being here and sharing with all of us. I know this is a very diverse group, and that really it's this type of feeling of immersion is one thing that relates across all of us. I see there's a couple of messages in the chat also in terms of questions about staying in touch and contact, and I want to remind people again that there's the website immersivism.com, as well as being able to go to the gallery here in Second Life, or if you're over in VR chat, then the possibility of going to that space too. So thank you. We maybe can take a question or two here if we see something come up in the chat, or if somebody wants to open mic, that's good. But then we should move on over to the casual space. Is there any initial? Let's see if we've got a question coming in on the chat. A lot of congratulations and thanks. So yeah, it really reflects the power of the presentation that you did, and I think also really for me, it's just exciting to see the work you've been doing, and that bridging between the virtual space and the real space, and that you're painting in the real world, you're bringing that painting into the virtual world, and you're taking the virtual world back out. It's like I think meta literacy is a word that Val uses a lot, and I think this immersiveness really is a good harmonic with that too.
Thank you. I'm really happy that there are people out there that this is really resonating with, because when this first was broached as a subject, quite the opposite reaction. It's very hard spreading this message and then dealing with a company that has named themselves after, you know, an element of cyberspace, and then they're doing all this stuff and people don't like them, and then they think that you're automatically a part of them, and it just makes your job so much harder. It has made my job so much harder. But now I'm getting to people who know what cyberspace is. They know that no one company owns the space, and so they realize what's happening, and they're like, yes, this is absolutely great, because they know that cyberspace is for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as more people get in, it's not even just the virtual world space, but the imageries that you're using and that your group is using are really evocative of a whole bunch of different kinds of immersion that we see, like in cybersecurity, the world of the hacker immersed in code and things like that. The feelings that you're getting are pulling out some of that experience too. So I see this really jumping across a lot of boundaries. So really glad to share it with a larger group, and I hope that as we have this stream recorded in on the website, that it can reach out to a broad number of people who I'm sure would be nurtured by what they see here in your presentation. So if we can at this time, let's move over to the other area. You can see there we have, I think usually we have some snacks out over in that area, so we can go find out. Here, I'll lead the way, and you can, yeah, thanks Val, and then